We analyze data from 1,000 corporate events and discover something surprising. Companies using traditional agencies are overspending by 40%. On the other hand, planning things yourself can result in 70% more logistical issues. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what you should handle yourself versus when you actually need professional help. Hey everyone, I'm Thomas Maziman, CEO of Team Out. We're a tech-focused event planning company that's helped over 1,000 corporate events per year for companies like NASDAQ, Reddit, or Netflix. What most people don't realize is that every successful corporate retreats come down to just 8 critical components. If you want your event to be a success, you fully have to understand what those 8 things are and what is the right strategy for you for each of them. You get this right and your event will run super smoothly. Get one wrong and you risk turning your team-building experience into a team-breaking nightmare. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the 8 make or break components of any corporate events, which tasks you can safely handle yourself when you actually need professional help, and finally, how new tech solutions are completely changing the game. Whether you're planning your first retreat or corporate events, by the end of this video, you know exactly how to choose the right solution for your specific situation. But before we dive in, if you're interested in learning more about corporate retreats, team building, and company culture, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We post new content every week to help you create corporate event experiences that will have an impact on your team. Let's jump in. Okay, the 8 core components. Let's start with the first component that you'll need to handle when planning your corporate event. The first one is venue sourcing. This is what it actually looks like in practice. When you're doing things yourself, you typically start by Googling corporate retreat venues and asking someone you know for recommendations. You probably make a list of 10 properties, send out emails, and then wait. From our data, only about 3 to 4 venues will actually get back to you, and often with quotes that look completely different from each other. So sometimes it will take weeks before you get a response. Sometimes they will actually never respond to you at all. Now, if you work with a traditional agency, they will handle all of this for you. They'll present you with pre-vetted options that actually match your needs, and they'll use their relationship to negotiate better rates. But there are still so much back and forth, and the process is very lengthy because it's a very human-intensive process. With a tech solution, you're getting the best of both worlds. You have an instant access to a database of venues that have already been vetted. You have a standardized quotes that makes comparison actually possible. You can actually compare apple to apple. Plus, all the contracts and negotiation are handled through the platform. Okay, now let's talk about the second component, attendee management. This is where things get very interesting because it affects every single person coming to your retreat. When you're managing this yourself, you're probably creating a Google form to collect information, you're building a spreadsheet to track responses, and you're constantly updating room assignments as people make changes. So you become really the point person for as if every single question, from dietary restrictions to arrival times. On the other hand, a traditional agency will take this off your plate, but they are often using the same manual tool, they just have more experience. They'll create the forms, they'll manage the spreadsheets, and they will handle the questions. It works, but it's not exactly efficient. With a tech platform, all of this becomes automated. Attendees can input their own information, make updates themselves, and get instant answers to common questions. The room assignments update automatically, and everyone has access to real-time information. Okay, let's move to the third component, agenda creation. This is critical because it determines how smoothly your entire retreat will run. So when you're doing things yourself, you're trying to create timelines from scratch, guessing how long activities should take, how much buffer you should leave between activities, and you're constantly adjusting schedules as things change. You are probably using Word documents or spreadsheets, and you constantly need to update all of them. On the other hand, a traditional agency brings a valuable experience here. They know exactly how to organize a timeline, they know how to create a professional run-off show. A run-off show is a key document that lists all of the important details of your event on one big document so you can easily collaborate with others and keep track of all the changes. They will also manage all the details, but they are still using manual tools that make last-minute changes a bit challenging. Finally, with a tech platform, you get access to a proven agenda templates, automated timeline tools, and real-time schedule updates that sync across all devices. So everyone can stay informed and changes can be made instantly without creating confusion. Let's talk about the fourth component, food and beverage planning. This is crucial because it affects every attendee's experience multiple times throughout the retreat. When events are going wrong, 50% of the time, there's an issue with the food. It can be things like the food is bad, dietary restrictions are not respected, dinner was cold when it was served, or there are just no drinks left in the middle of the dinner. So when you're managing things yourself, you are juggling multiple vendor conversations. If it's an external vendor, you also have to vet them yourself. You're going to have to track everyone's dietary restrictions in a spreadsheet. You're going to have to decrypt yourself the banquet and event order, which is a technical document that hotels are asking you to fill without giving you much help. A simple mistake in menu selection can lead to an extra $10K on your final bill. A traditional agency will handle all vendors' communications and menu selection. They will use their experience to anticipate potential issues, and they will help you choose the right menu to balance cost and quality. But they are still managing everything manually, which can lead to delays and communication gaps. With the tech platform, food and beverage templates of past customers are available. There are still some manual elements involved, but everything is centralized on one main dashboard, and deadlines are automatically synced with your calendar. Now let's talk about the fifth component, activities planning. This is where you can really make or break the team building aspect of your retreat. When managing this yourself, you're spending hours researching local activities, you're trying to verify the reliability of the vendors, you're trying to coordinate multiple bookings at the same time, you're also struggling to find backup options in case of weather issues or last-minute changes. A traditional agency, on the other hand, will tap into their network of trusted vendors, and they will handle all the coordination. They will also suggest activities based on their own experience, which is almost always give you a better outcome. But you are limited to their existing relationships. And when you're making decisions between different vendors, there's often a lot of back and forth required to collect all the important information for you. With a tech platform, you get access to a pre-vetted activity database with real reviews. They are also specialized for groups above 20 people. And this network is usually bigger than what corporate agency can provide, as it usually extends beyond the agency coverage zone. Also, all the important information about an activity are listed for you to review, so you can make a quick decision. Okay, let's move to the sixth component, ground transportation. This is a critical component because one missed pickup can create a domino effect on problems throughout your retreat. When handling this yourself, the biggest challenge is to ensure vendor reliability. In our experience, transportation vendors are the least reliable of all event vendors. Just imagine one thing for a second. What is the impact of a bus not picking you up for your group of 100 people and you left by the side of the road for 3 hours and you're in Mexico, it's hot outside, and you're 2 hours from your hotel? Well, good luck. On top of that, you're also in charge of tracking flights, arrival and departure times, and adjusting for delays and cancellations. A traditional agency will manage all the logistics and will have reliable vendors, so that's great. But they are still tracking everything manually. Changes require multiple phone calls and emails, and you're often paying a premium rate for their preferred providers. With the tech platform, you also have vetted vendors, plus all transportation is integrated with a flight tracking system. So change updates automatically and you get access to pre-negotiated rates. Also, drivers' details and phone numbers are available on the app. Let's discuss the seventh component, meeting and AV setup. This often becomes the most expensive part of any retreat. When you're managing this yourself, you're at the mercy of the hotel AV providers, and often you discover hidden costs way too late. You're trying to guess what kind of equipment you need and hoping it all works when you need it. A traditional agency will know what to ask for and have experience with setup requirements, but they're often working with the same overpriced vendors. So they will manage the details but can't do much about the inflated costs. The tech platform, you're going to have more visibility about the AV costs. Why? Because they can provide you with historical data of how much things have cost for other companies in the past. On top of that, they sometimes also offer independent vendors, which can offer much better rates and often a much better customer experience. When it comes to budget management, doing it yourself involves creating a budget, usually on an Excel spreadsheet. But without any solid reference points, this can lead to inaccurate estimates, since there are so many hidden costs that are really hard to anticipate, especially if you're a first-time planner. Without any benchmark data, you're likely to end up with a budget that's much lower than actual cost will be. So working with a traditional agency, they'll typically provide an estimate based on their experience, which is great, and they may have some data to back it up. However, the process is often manual and not always very precise. With a modern tech solution like Teama, budget management is much more efficient. They usually offer a robust system that uses real data from over 1,000 events to build an accurate budget forecast. This provides, in 95% of the case, a more accurate budget estimation. And data is key when it comes to budgeting. There are actually many books talking about it. In general, this tech platform also have an online budget estimator that provides instant estimates based on a list of parameters that you can configure. But this is not all. This budget can also update automatically as you're adding and paying new invoices on the platform, unlike traditional agencies who are still relying on manual updates with Excel sheets. Now that you understand these components, let's break down each approach to help you make the right choice. So let's start with the DIY approach, do it yourself. When it works best, it's when you have a small retreat under 20 people, when you have a dedicated event team who has time to work on this, when it's a simple locations where everything is handled by one venue, for example, like a few all-inclusive properties are in this case. But here are some typical challenges. There are hidden costs for inexperienced planners. Some critical details may be missed. There's usually no backup plans when things go wrong. And keep in mind it takes at least 50 hours just for venue sourcing and another 50 to execute the rest of the event. Now let's look at traditional event agencies. What they usually handle is venue sourcing and negotiation, vendor coordination, and finally on-site management. Their cost structure is usually like this: 15 and 20% of the total event budget, and they also charge premium vendor rates, so they make money on the vendors too. So their limitations, it's usually manual processes that cause delays, and they usually have a limited vendors network, and sometimes they can be inconsistent in the communication. So this is where things get interesting, because there's a third option that we talked about throughout this video. It's the tech hybrid solution like Teamout. They usually combine the best of both worlds. On the platform benefits, you have instant access to pre-vetted venues and vendors. You have real-time pricing and availability. You also have standardized contracts and processes. On the automation side, they have usually 70% reduction in planning time. They also provide automated quote system. And finally, an attendee hub for managing all communications to streamline communication with the attendees. From a cost efficiency standpoint, they usually bring between 20 and 30% savings through pre-negotiated rates on venues, and they don't charge a percentage fee based on your event budget. And finally, they have a very transparent pricing. Where a lot of traditional agencies are charging rates of a minimum of $20,000, tech hybrid solutions like Teamout are usually free of charge for finding vendors, and they do have some great options if you need more help. That's why companies like Nasdaq, Reddit, or Netflix have shifted to this approach, because it simply works better. So when you're planning an event, a retreat for 20 people or 200, a tech hybrid solution gives you usually more control, more efficiency, and a lower cost than traditional agencies. Hey, let me wrap this up with something very important. Whether you choose to plan your retreat yourself or work with a traditional agency or use a tech solution, the key is to be realistic about your team's capacity and the complexity of your event. But here's what I didn't tell you at the start of this video. The corporate retreat industry is rapidly changing. Companies are moving away from both the do-it-yourself and the traditional agencies approach because they're finding that tech-enabled solutions like Teamout simply deliver better results at a lower cost. So if you're planning a corporate event in the next 6 months, here's one tip for you. Visit teamout.com and check our free budget calculator. It will give you an instant estimate on what your event should cost based on real data from thousands of events. Next, click the link in the description to book a quick demo and see how our platform can streamline the 8 components we talked about today. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell. We are releasing new content every week about corporate retreats, team building activities, and company culture. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.